Let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes.
All right. Um, Welcome back. So, again, this is my Invest in You series, the financial edition. I definitely plan to continue to build on this, with different aspects, especially our financial health, our mental health, our spiritual health, and our physical health. So hopefully, later on, I'll be able to add those components onto this series. Um, but today we'll just be talking about your credit and understanding and building your credit. Um, Me, when I was 18 years old, my sister was like, "Oh, go get a credit card." So first card I got was a Discover card, and I think I applied for like three cards. So the first couple cards I got denied, and then Discover they was willing to lend me credit. They gave me $300. Um, and it took me less than a year to max it out and default on it. So me not understanding money at all, just like, oh, okay, fuck it, I don't care. Like, not knowing that was going to negatively impact me for years to come. Um, what happened with this? I definitely, it was weird, and I don't really recall to this day what happened. But at the time, Discover ended up suing me. And mind you, I maxed out a $300 card. Excuse my language, but these motherfuckers were suing me for like 2 bands or something. Like all these late fees, court fees. It was insane. Um, I'm pretty sure it eventually fell off my credit report. This is when I was 18. So it's definitely not there now. But at what point did it fall off? I'm not sure because I never paid them. But no one ever taught me um, that if I actually established my credit, then I would have been well off right now. So to think if I would have started building my credit at 18 the right way, the purchasing power I would have today would be enormous. And like Jasmine said, you need credit to build wealth. We look at the real estate game, right? You technically don't really need credit to get in the real estate game, and there's loopholes around it, but for the majority part, you really do need great credit to get into real estate. And just think of even personal businesses, how you can take out loans. And that's additional capital. That's other people's money we get to play with. So, last week we discussed, how to actually budget and manage our own money. So now it's just like, how do you understand and maintain your credit so you can continue playing with other people's collateral? Like they're giving you their cash, for preferably at a set interest rate over a certain amount of time. But the name of the game with credit is just how can I play with someone else's money and pay them back the least amount of money on it and still make a profit? So that first card I got, it was shopping, shopping, shopping. And because it wasn't taught to me, no, this is technically a tool to use to build wealth. I didn't understand that. So, this is why I want to change that, change how we're taught about how to use credit. If like there's this dude on Instagram right now. I don't remember his name, but he's doing like these little short videos. The shit is dope. And he talks about like, yo, stop going out buying clothes, bottles, and all this shit with your credit. But then on the flip side, he tells you, invest into yourself. Basically, like, buy things for your business, buy these products and flip it. Use your credit to where you can leverage it to make income versus just buying things just to stay up with the latest trends. Um, at the end of the day, we all want to be financially free. We don't want to rely on, like I said last week, we don't want to rely just on working our whole lives. So how can we start leveraging our credit to actually start creating income for ourselves? Um, and then Ariana, hey Chantel, how you doing? Ariana, you spoke about reward points, right? And that's another thing. You have these cards out here that you get rewards for, you get cash back for. And that's the bonuses. You can actually have these cards pay you. You can make money off of these cards. Um, and that's just paying your statement on time prior to the due date, at the statement end date, and you avoid paying interest. And then at the same time, you get the cash back. You get these reward miles. You're able to take free trips. Um, and then you basically are utilizing your credit to get free things versus the credit card company just making money off of you. Um, so let's jump right in. What is credit technically? And I'm gonna give you the Google definition, which is, credit is the trust which allows one party to provide money and resources to another party, where the second party does not, which would be you. You don't pay it back to the lender immediately. So the bank will give you X amount of dollars, and then you have most likely a promissory note that you would say, hey, I agree to these terms and I will pay you back X amount of dollars with X amount of interest on these specified dates. But it's all based off certain conditions on, how do you actually get credit? How do you qualify for it? What goes into maintaining it? How do you increase your credit? It's a journey, it's a process. Everyone, a lot of people, if, they jumped in and messed up their credit young, is okay, how can I fix this? How can I fix this? Your credit it's a process. For most like negative remarks, it takes between, like, just the inquiry alone, when you pull your credit, it takes 2 years for that to fall off. Any negative remarks, bankruptcies, it takes over 7 years for it to actually to fall off your report, unless you're actually actively, disputing it. And how you dispute certain things, whether they belong there or not, has an impact as well. So before we even jump into that, how can you actually see what's on your credit? We know it's out there. Maybe you don't have no credit. Maybe you don't have nothing on it. But these are actually the 3 credit reporting agencies. And then the website in the middle, it's how you can actually pull your credit report every year for free. So we have Equifax, we have Experian, and TransUnion. If you go into annual credit report every year, once a year, you're actually able to pull your credit report for free, and you can pull it for all 3 credit reports. Now, if you just, checking your credit report and you don't have no major, let's say if you don't have nothing major coming up to, like, okay, I want to go buy a home, or maybe I want to go get a business loan, Credit Karma, I would say, is probably a good source for that. Just to check, your basic, see what's on your credit report and see what's on there. I'm not too sure who just joined because I can't tell based on the name. It just says Intune iPad. So just let me know who you are. So yeah, these are the 3 credit reporting agencies. You definitely want to check all 3 of them, because at times, one, they calculate your score differently. So if you ever run your credit, you'll realize for the majority of the time, your 3 scores should be within the same range, but will have different numbers. And that's just based on how they actually score you. So definitely you want to always, check what's on your Equifax, check what's on your Experian, and then check what's on your TransUnion, just to make sure everything ties and match. So what is a great credit score, right? I think I touched on Credit Karma. So understanding like Credit Karma, right? And then when you go on to my annual credit report, Credit Karma And some of our bank institutions, they provide, which is on your right, your Vantage score. And then on your left is your actual FICO score. So the difference is your Vantage score is its own system that is used to basically provide you your credit score per se, but it's really not your FICO score. So it will give you, based on their scoring metrics, where you ideally fall. But when you actually pull your credit report, when you actually file an application, it is your FICO score they actually pull. So if you ever been on Credit Karma and you say, and you see, all right, I'll go on Credit Karma, you can have, say, a score of 700. But if you actually go on to and pull your FICO, I believe, like Discover gives me my FICO for free. Um, so you can actually go on, yeah, Discover, they have this thing where you Discover scorecard. So you're actually able to see what your true FICO score is, and that's what the credit agencies are actually looking at. But remember, you have 3 credit reporting agencies, so it can come from any one of those 3, based on the relationship that creditor has and who they actually use to pull your credit. Any questions so far about this chart? I'm definitely going to go into it so we can understand, what is technically a good score versus what's a poor score. I think this chart is missing
I had a
something.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why?
Um,
So,
Hello?
Yeah, let Ariana, and then you can go, Chantel.
okay, yeah, I was just wondering why don't they just use the same scoring across all different websites and stuff? Because wouldn't that just be simpler rather than having like different credit scores, like different websites tell you different credit scores?
So it's just their scoring mechanism, and I think that's just on us to know what you're actually getting. They usually tell you that it's your Vantage score. Sometimes I don't know how it technically works on their back end and why they don't provide the FICO score, but what you truly want to pay attention to is your FICO. Ideally, in a great world, it would be beautiful if they provided our FICO score, but they don't always do that.
Okay.
What you going to say, Chantel? Chantel, you had a question?
I think she put it in the chat.
Oh, I suck at chats. In the chat to the left, good and fair are the same. I put it in the chat. Good, fair. True.
It's on both charts too. Good and fair is the same.
They were supposed to change. Okay, I'll update that. Good catch. Um, yeah, this should actually read from 661 on the left. It should read from 661 to 780, which should technically be great or good. But in all actuality, yeah, you do want to be over 661 to 850. That is your ideal credit score. That's usually where you'll get your best interest rates. Honestly, at one point, I was one of those people that was in the 300 mark. Easy. Like when I definitely messed up my credit, um, I'm lying. I think I was in the 5s, which is still shitty. Nothing to brag about. I think I was at like a 523 when I actually was like, all right, let me try to get my credit right. But you still want to know where you ideally fall. You do not want to be below 600. You definitely want to be above it and climbing to, 850. 850 is something that we all trying to get to, but it definitely takes time. It's definitely a process. Who is iPad? I see you raise your hand, but your name doesn't display.
Kev, it's Clayana.
Hey, Clay.
Okay, I got a question. When you first starting off, right? What score is normally your credit score? Like, let's say you coming out of high school. Do you normally have a credit score, and do it start off like in the 5s or the 6, or is it like 3 and you got to work your way up?
No, so technically, when you have no credit, you should have no score because it's going based off zero data. Um, Now you have to think about also, what do you have on your credit? Especially us growing up around our age range, some of us, based on our parents, we might have had stuff on our credit already,
Right.
whether it was positive or negative. Um, that also, determines where we actually started off at. Um, like right now, for people that have kids, there are certain cards out there to where I can add them as an authorized user at the age of 13. And so by the time they're actually legal at 18, they can have a credit score of, 790. Based on how well I treat my credit, I can start establishing credit for my kids at a younger age. Not all credit card companies allow you to do it at that age. Some is 16. Um, and some just don't even allow you to do it at all. But you definitely have to check with your card and with your benefits. But if you're someone who doesn't have no data, that's how it will present. You won't have a score because they can't report the score off of anything.
Got it. I got one more question.
Mhm.
Um, with the, you know how they say after 7 years, certain things are too old to be on your credit report. Is that true? Like, does it really drop off?
Yeah. So like your inquiries when you pull your credit and when you request credit, usually those remarks fall off within 2 years. And then when you have any negative comments, past debts, stuff like that, either one, you can dispute it to get it off, or you wait the 7 years and it eventually does fall off. I think when you file for bankruptcy, I feel like it's a little bit, it might be 7. I don't know if it's longer, I heard. But I'm definitely going to,
Hey, I was gonna actually say for depending on what bankruptcy you file for, it can last only 4 years, all the way up to 10 years, and foreclosure are 10 years.
okay, because I know certain things was 10 years. Thank you for that. Um, and that impedes you on, how you actually can go about getting another home. So not everything is 7 years. Like Jasmine said, some certain things may be 4, but definitely there are things that do take 10 years to fall off your credit report. Any other questions? All right. So what actually makes up your credit score, right? So, your one, like I said, your credit is a journey. So let's start with the bottom left corner, the green image, the length of your credit history. So 15% of your score is actually how long have you been using credit. So that's why when I said earlier, your student loans, right? When you actually close those accounts, I think my student loans, I've been in school, I went into school 2013. So I think my first student loan is from 2014, probably right around the time I started building my credit back up. So when I actually finished closing out my student loan account, the average time that, because your student loans is the average of your history. So say if I open up account in 2014, right? And that was my only account. So my credit history will be 6, right? 26, 20, well, we in 2021, 7 years. Now, if I went to open an account in 2021, and this is say my second account, now the length of my credit history will be 3.5 years because it's the average of all of your accounts. So when you actually open new accounts, it decreases the length of your history. And then when you start closing accounts, it also has that same effect. So if I close that student loan account from 2014, and now I just have this one account from 2021, it looks like I don't really have that much length of credit history, but they can actually see, all right, he had these prior accounts on there before, but they are closed. Then, what type of credit do you have? You have your retail cards, you have your student loans, you have your mortgages, you have auto loans, your revolving credit. So what type of credit are you actually using? Do you have real estate on there? So they actually basically, how is your credit diversified? So where are you borrowing from? So they want to see that. Then new credit. How much credit how much of your credit available is new. So, when you're applying for new credit, that takes a hit as well. Every time you apply for a new card, you have these inquiries. And if you apply for a new card, sometimes you see your score go down and then it'll jump back up. And that's because one, you have a new inquiry, and two, it'll go back up usually the latter month if you're not using your card in excess, because now you have a higher available balance, which would tie into amounts owed. So how much do you owe and how much of your credit have you used? This ties back to Kia, what you said. 30% of your score is based on how much you owe. Ironically, you want to actually, especially for revolving cards like credit cards, you want to only use 30% of what they provide you. Now, this doesn't technically apply for, say, your mortgage or, auto loan or real estate, but it does tie into like your balance that you actually owe. And they also include, the available balance. So your home mortgage is not going to be included in what your available balance is. And then the last one is your payment history. The majority of your credit score is just based off paying it on time. That is it. If you can't do one thing, pay your credit card on time and just pay the minimum balance, even though that might hurt you. But based on your financial situation, if like right now, people have to use their credit cards and it sucks. But pay the minimum. That way you're not getting dinged with late fees, and then you don't get dinged with these negative remarks that you're not paying your bills on time. Because no one wants to lend money to anyone who can't pay it back. And that's just regular life. I ain't gonna lend you money if you ain't never give it back to me now. And it's worse because now they actually have a track record of it. For us, that friend I gave $40 to, they can't come back to me and ask me for 40 cash again. Like, it's a dub. And that's how they treat you with your credit. All right, this person does not pay their stuff on time. Are they paying it back? Are they a person who's relying on their credit heavily? They take all of these things into factor to say, yo, is this person someone I can actually give my money to in hopes of actually getting it back? Any questions on what actually goes into making up your credit score?
Yeah, question. So, okay, let's say I missed 2 payments within my 5 years of building my credit. So it says I was at a 98% payment history. But since then, I've been paying my credit card on time for like the last 3 years. It never goes back up to 100%.
No. I've been trying to look into that on like how to correct that. That I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I was saying. Like, you got to remember, it looks at the entire length of your credit, right? So from when you had the card all the way into now. You can always call your credit agency, see if they'll remove it, work with them. Sometimes they will. The true process of how to go about that, I have to find out. But there are people out there that do help people with like removing those negative remarks and stuff like that. But I'm gonna try to figure out how to go about getting those like late payments removed. But it sticks on here because, again, your credit, it's your whole overall from when you had that card until when it closes. It's going to report those late payments. But the same thing the creditor does see. All right, for the last 36 months, this person has paid on time. The best way I found to avoid late payments, I do it is just set it up for auto pay. I used to be one of those people that was horrible with paying my credit. And it wasn't that I didn't have the cash. I would forget. I set the reminders in my phone, 8 a.m. alarm. Before I know it, I'm brushing my teeth and I'm running out the door. And I'll forget to make the payment. So I started setting up the reminders in my phone and then having them auto debited. One, because now when I get this reminder, I set the reminder up 2 days ahead. So now I know, all right, Kev, they're going to be deducting this money out your bank account. Make sure you got the funds there. And then 2, they take it out automatically, the minimum. I only set up the minimum, but I will go in and pay the extra on my own. So at least I know the minimum is covered just in case my financial situation has changed. Or again, like I said, I put it 2 days ahead. All right, I know I got to log on and I'm gonna just pay extra. But I know the minimum will always be covered. That way I don't have that late payment. So like, what are your different types of credit? So we have, normally they will say you have 3 types. Sometimes they'll call it the 4th, based on, what you look up. But these are essentially the different type of credits that we do have. Hopefully I don't have no spelling errors. I was tired last night when I was doing this. So you have your revolving credit, your charge cards, your installment credit, and then your non-installment / service credit cards. So your revolving credit is this form of credit allows you to borrow money up to a certain amount. So your revolving credit is usually I'm gonna go over it in the next slide. Sorry, I'm drawing blank right now. Then you have your charge cards. So your revolving credit is usually your credit cards. Your charge cards are usually like your American Express cards, where you don't have a limit, but also they expect you to pay the balance at the end of the month in full, so that you usually don't have a balance rolling over month to month. Installment credit is, involves a set amount borrowed and a monthly payment. So your installment credits may be your auto loans. And then we have your non-installment and service credit. This form of credit allows the borrower to pay for services, memberships for like at a later date. So think of like a company, right? When you go and buy, if I'm a bakery and I go to this supply store and they say, all right, pay this on 30 days or pay this 60 days, net 10 or net 60. Those are other type of credits based on, your history with this vendor. So I worked at a bakery company for a while. Ooh, that definitely taught me some ins and outs of like this installment credit. If you have a good relationship with the vendor, they will allow you to go in there and purchase what you want, no money down, give you a little piece of paper, pay us back. The second you start paying them on time, that goes out the window, So it actually doesn't have to do with you actually using your credit. It's all right, we established this relationship. They've always been paying their thing on time. So I am willing to give them this product, knowing they're going to come back and pay me my money. So you may see this one in a lot of businesses. Any questions on like the different types of credits there are? All right, so just so we can, have an understanding of the types of credits, your mortgage loan, right? That will fall into your category of installment credit. Same thing as your car loan, because these are set amounts that you pay back, at a specific time. So your mortgage loan, your car loan, that set amount. It usually doesn't change unless you're, you refinance it or something like that. But on the 31st, the 15th, the 17th, whatever date they set, you have X amount of dollars to pay for that. Then your major credit cards, your just department store cards, those are your revolving cards. Those are where you actually might see your benefits, where you can actually start making money off your credit. Your JetBlue cards, your travel cards, your reward points, even like American Express. These are cards where you can make money off your credit. Especially on that 0% introductory AR. If you can find like one of those cards where you get 0% APR for 14 months, those are the cards you actually want to use to make your large purchases. So if you move into a new apartment, you have to furnish it, and your credit is good, you may not want to touch your cash for that, you know? You may actually want to put that on your credit. And if you have a card where you can pay that off for 12 months or whatever they have with 0% APR, take advantage of it, especially when you have those cards that pay you cash back, because that's just, I apply it as that's an extra discount. You know, if I went and dropped $3,000 on, you know, all of the stuff I need, and then I earn, say, $25 cash back on it, that's free money to me. And then at the end of the month, I have 0% APR. So one, either you could get travel points or you get cash back. All right. So now you're paying me to actually utilize your card. And say hypothetically something comes up and boom, you're getting to month 12 and you still have a balance. This is where people start playing the credit game. Your credit's still good, people will open up another credit card with a 0% introductory APR and then do a balance transfer. So now this, I paid $3,000, right? And say I have $1,500 left. I don't want to start paying interest on this. I can find a card that actually has a zero balance transfer fee. So I can transfer my debt onto another card that has zero APR as well. And then now I started this 12-month process all over again. And boom, you may not get the cash back on balance transfers, but you do get another period of interest free. That way you're not paying interest on that borrowed money. It satisfies the debt to the first lender. And then now this new lender, you know, you have a new balance. But at least on your credit, you know, I've closed this card out. Well, not closed it, I've paid the debt on this card. But now it just looks like I have another debt on another card. But again, you benefit from it by not paying no interest, especially when you have great credit. Other ways are, you know, your cell phone. Those are non-installment or service credit, you know. You go, especially like with these, I don't even know, because I have not brought a phone off of credit. I think some of them do run your credit. Some of them do have it to where they don't run your credit. I think T-Mobile has like some program. They don't run your credit, but you got to pay X amount down. And then, you know, you'll pay over the time for the phone. And then American Express. American Express, for the most part, prior, they was just usually a charge card. But over the years, they definitely changed. And they have revolving cards now to where, you know, you're required to pay. You're allowed to have a balance that carries over month to month. And then you usually will have, you know, an interest rate on it as well. Any questions on like what falls into, you know, these different type of credit groups?
I have a question. Okay, so you know, like they have Afterpay, and what else they have?
Affirm.
What's the other Afterpay and
I think
and like
Affirm,
yeah.
Affirm and stuff
Sezzle.
like that? Are those really like affecting your credit? If you're paying them on time and you're paying them sometimes even early, is that like a boost to your credit?
One, you got to double check that it's being reported to your credit bureaus. I've never used them. Um, I've never used them because one, does it actually require you to put your social and everything in?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
You got to double check that it's actually it's something that's reporting to your credit bureaus. If it's reporting to your credit bureaus, yes, it will definitely contribute to your credit and increasing or decreasing your score if you're paying it on time. You got a question, Alex? Hi, Alex.
Hey, so my question really quick is about secured cards. I know you was talking about 30% and not using all the funds on the credit cards, but what about using your own money and building your credit? How does that work?
Okay. Secure credit cards is usually for people who have shitty credit. You have really bad credit. I personally, I don't like the idea of it, but that's not for me to say. secure credit cards is great to establish your credit. If your credit isn't the greatest, but here's the thing with secure cards. Do not carry a balance on secure cards. One, because you're paying interest on your own money. So the way a secure credit card works is usually I will give you $300 and then you give me a $300 limit. Sometimes you give them 300, they'll give you 600 based on where you fall. But when you start carrying balances on that, you're paying interest to them for your money, just for them to report that you're not paying your balance in full. So now I'm paying you for my own money? Like, nah. That's why you actually have to look at how you're using, especially secure credit cards. If you want to use it to build your credit, yes, but use it for minimum purchases. Anything that you know you can pay off at the end of the month and you can pay off at the statement date, do that. Because even on these secure credit cards, you have high interest rates, usually over 20%. So if you think about, let's use 24%, right? So now you're paying 2% each month because your APR is broken down by year. So 12 months in a year, which would mean 2%. So if you have a card for $300 and you spend the whole $300, 2% of 300 is what? 6, right? You're paying $6 a month for your own money. And now remember how interest works. Even if your balance is 400, right? Now they're charging you interest on the 306 now each month if you didn't make a payment. So now you're paying interest on your money plus what they charged you. So if you're going to get a secure card, use it for minimum things, gas, your Metro card. If you run to the grocery store, just get a couple loaf of bread, some milk, your prescriptions, little things that aren't too high in cost that you can know, like, all right, I can pay this off. And again, the key, keep it under 30%. So if your limit is 300, you shouldn't be spending more than $90 anyway. And then you want to pay that $90 off at your statement date. That way you're not actually accruing interest on it. Because again, I'm not down for paying money to someone on my own money just to improve my credit score. Now, I will utilize it to improve my credit score, but pay it on time, pay it early, so you're not paying just to touch your own money. Does that answer your question, Alex?
Yes. So basically, you're trying to say stay at 30% with the secure cards too.
Well, all of your revolving credit cards, anything where you have a balance, not a balance, an available balance where you have a limit, that's the word. If you have a credit limit, stay under 30% of your credit limit. Obviously, there's going to be times where you don't, but that's why you only want to try to really utilize your credit for when you know you have to. So there's going to be times, all right, you have a card with 10,000, all right, I need to go buy a new washer and dryer. That may cost you $4,000 or $5,000 based on which brand you're buying. You know, if you're buying these higher end brands, maybe you're furnishing your whole house. There are times you're going to have to, use more, and that's understandable. Your credit is flexible. If you go over your limit, yes, you're going to take a hit on your credit score. It's not always bad, but once you get back under that 30%, it's going to shoot right back up. So that's why also we have to be timely when we use our credit cards. So like, when they tell you, I want to go buy a house, you shouldn't be spending on your credit cards. You shouldn't be using these because you want to have that available credit. You want to keep your debt to income ratio down. Last thing you want to do is go drop $5,000 on your credit card prior to like closing on a home. You buy all that stuff after because you don't want your credit to take that hit for you going over the 30% mark. And like I said, you know you're going to have to buy this stuff. Just time it perfectly, knowing you're going to, sometimes you will go over that 30% mark. But once you get it back down under, it's going to shoot right back up. I think for me personally, um, shit, I was at seven. I think I was at like, I think at one point I was like high 80s, 80% utilization. Keeping up with the Joneses, like dead seriously, that's what it really was. I was living my best life, happy hour here, party here, bottle on me, vacation trip, wilding. And even though I had the available credit, I seen the impact it actually did on my credit. Like I understood how my credit worked, I understood how to use it, but I wasn't being responsible with it. And I literally went from a credit score of 720 or something like that, all the way down to low sixes. And it was because of that high utilization rate. Everything else on my credit was good. Payments on time, no derogatory marks, not too many inquiries, a decent amount of open accounts. My credit length was good, but that available credit that I was using was hurting it so bad. And literally, when I got it back down to 30%, I was back in the sevens again. So your credit's going to dip and it's going to rise. That's how it works. But, like I said, your credit is a journey. So it's not a quick fix. It's not an overnight process. And like I said, you're going to have to borrow larger amounts at time. It's going to bounce back. So, but if you could stay under the 30%, stay under it. Any other questions? All right. So what actually goes into like the credit decisions, like it ties into your character, how much credit have you used in the past? They look at that. The capacity, how much debt do you have in relation to your income? That's your DTI, your debt to income ratio. That's definitely something they'll look at when you want to go purchase a home. Capital, how much savings do you have available? What's in your 401k? What's in your savings account? Which will also tie into like your collateral. For people that have homes, people that want to borrow against their home, what equity do you have in a home? Like your home, it's the collateral for that mortgage is the home. Because if you don't pay the loan, we're coming to take your house. So that's the collateral. And then conditions. We have to think about economic times, right? We're in COVID right now. A lot of people are unemployed. Are they willing to, even with your credit good, are they really willing to actually give you credit right now? Or how much are they willing to give you based on what's going on in society? Same thing. People economics, we're in a hard economic time. So banks and lenders might not be willing so easily to give you credit if your score is lower. Say if the economy's booming and you have a credit score of 640, all right, based on how much you make and everything else, all right, we may want to give this person X amount of dollars. But now we're in a tougher economic situation. They may be like, nah, we can't afford to give this to you because of that. So also have to take in conditions and what's going on around us as well. I think the next couple pages is just some quick tips. You see secure credit cards. I started off with that one because it's my least favorite. I think that is just something you should do only if you don't have any other options. If your credit's really crappy, start with a secure card. Other options, become an authorized user on someone's account. For me, right, I added my niece on to my card. Her credit wasn't the greatest, but I added her as an authorized user. Now, when you add someone authorized user, you don't have to give them the card. They don't have to have access to the card. You can make them an authorized user, and that's the same thing with your kids. When we have kids, those who do have kids, when they hit that age, You can make them authorized users on your account. Don't make them an authorized user if you are not treating your own credit right and start messing theirs up. If you know you're good at building your credit, add them as an authorized user so they can start having credit when they hit 18. Apply with a cosigner. Don't cosign though. I am definitely being a hypocrite on that one. But sometimes, you know, you want to go get this home, you want to go get this car, your credit's not the right. Maybe you ask your mom, maybe you ask, you know, someone else, hey, can you co-sign on this for me? But don't go co-signing for people. Because I would like, listen, if your credit ain't right for them to give it to you, I ain't gonna trust you on my credit, and then I'm responsible for that debt. But some people, you know, they might want to do it, you know, it's their kids, it's family, but be very careful with co-signing for people because you are liable for that debt as well. Because that's what you're basically saying. Hey, if this person doesn't pay this, I got them. I be like, listen, if they ain't have themselves, I'm a little shaky on having them too. So, eh. um, build your credit without, you know, a credit card. That talks about, you know, your real estate, auto. You have auto loans. You have other involving credit that you could use. There's actually like a report even for like paying your rent. There's other ways you can actually, um, like I think Experian has something to where like paying your utility bills. You know, they have something to where you can pay certain bills and it actually helps start establishing your credit. So you don't always have to go through the route of credit cards to actually build your credit. Big one, pay all your bills on time, including student loans, auto loans, mortgage loans. Best way to go about that, auto payment. Like I said, I suck with paying things on time. So auto pay everything. I don't even have to worry about it no more. So I think for the past, I'm gonna check Credit Karma and see what it says, but I think I've been paying my bills on time probably for like the past 5, 6 years, just by doing auto pay. And we got to get past that myth, you know, at least I've heard within our community, you know, oh, auto paying good, they gonna take the money, I ain't gonna have it. Well, that ties back to you budgeting, making sure you have the money in your account to pay these people, understanding how to use your money so I can pay the people that I'm borrowing their money back on time so they can continue to allow me to borrow it and then borrow it at a later time with higher limits because I'm responsible. Um, if you have to, you know, if you have a high amount of debt, credit card debt, and you want to consolidate it, you might want to look at personal loans. A great way, I would say, look at credit union. Get involved with the credit union as a bank. Usually they have more friendly rates for personal loans. I think everyone in here except for Jasmine is from New York, right? So we all know about MCU. Um, Customer service probably sucks. Could never find a branch that's open, but they have great rates for their customers. There's definitely other credit unions to check out, but they usually have better rates than your local banks. So obtain a personal loan. You can utilize that to actually pay down or consolidate your debt. And usually you can get a personal loan lower for the APR than you're paying on your credit cards. Your credit cards usually anywhere between 15 to like 24% based on which state they actually operate in. And then a personal loan based on where your credit is, you can get it anywhere from even lower. You know, you can get at a lower percent up to probably like 10 to 15%. High is up to 20 as well. Shop around. If you have a decent credit score, you'll definitely get a lower rate. So, you know, the higher your credit score, the lower your APR, which is the interest they're charging you on his borrowed money. Pay all your credit cards in full month to month. If you can pay it on a statement date, do that. That will help you avoid paying interest on that money. Again, with credit, I want to use your money and don't pay you no money back. I want to pay you what you gave me, the principal. I don't want to give you interest. I want to borrow your money for free. and keep borrowing your money for free and earn points and rewards and cash back on your money. Give me some free money. Why not? If you can do it, this is why you want to keep your credit card utilization down to what you can pay every month in full. And if you can't do that, you know, keep your balance down to where you can pay it off, I say 3 months. That way you're not paying excessive interest, you know? Like I said, there's gonna be times where we have to utilize our credit and it's gonna take a little bit longer to pay it off, but you do not wanna have the balance revolving month to month to month and keep paying them higher interest. So if you can get it paid off month to month, perfect. Keep a shorter plan. I say 3 months, ideally. And then, you know, that way you have this available credit. Use your credit cards. That's another thing. A lot of people like, oh, I don't need it. You do need it. You actually got to utilize your credit for it to report, but use what you know you can pay off. Um, like certain people, you can pay your rent with your credit card, right? But you got to be careful. Like, am I actually paying like a 3% fee? But it may be worth it if you get 5% cash back, right? And my management office is going to charge me a 3% fee. I might as well pay my rent on my card, pay the 3% fee, right? Because I'm going to net the 2% if I have 5% cash back. I'm paying this off every month. So minimum, I'm making 2% back in cash back net on what I would pay month to month every month anyway. But make sure it's something you could pay off. Again, for large purchases, try to get 0% introductory rates, especially if you have great credit. Definitely in economic times like this, conserve your cash and use your credit responsibly. It's definitely easy to just swipe your card, definitely right now, because you know you want to save your cash, but use your credit responsibly. Don't go out just swiping it. Again, if you're going to use your credit, use it to create revenue for yourself. That way, you start creating this revenue. Now you got the cash to actually do what you want, and you're not relying on your credit to cover your basic necessities. Another one, diversify your line of credits. Like I said, you have real estate, you have mortgage, well, your mortgages, which is your real estate, auto loans, credit cards, store cards, non-installment cards. I'm probably skipping a couple, but there's definitely different lines of credit, and they want to see that. They want to see that you have experience managing different types of debts and how do you pay off these different type of debts. And I believe this is the last sheet. Lower your credit utilization rate. Keep it under that 30% because that definitely impacts your score. Know what you're working with, which is, you know, your available credit, and key, dispute errors. Know what's on your credit report. Pull your credit report. Make sure everything on there matches. Oh, I remember one time I found on my credit report, I wanted to fight my brother. I found a cable bill from his address on my credit report. And I'm like, I'm not gonna say the N-word, but you know, like, yo, my man, like, why is this on my credit report? Like I didn't even live there. I had to dispute that. And he ain't never pay it. Never paid it. Oh, I'm gonna pay it, didn't pay it. Check your report. You know why? It's crazy. Family would do it to you. They have access to it, especially your older siblings. Yeah, you took care of me. So yeah, you had access to my social and all of this. I was tight. Make sure everything on your credit report belongs to you, especially with identity theft. Identity theft is very big. That's why you shouldn't use basic passwords. Have your passwords super strong so people are not hacking your information and just easily have access to your credit. And then make sure, you know, all your accounts are in good standing, and the ones that are in good standing, make sure they're being reported. And also know when your balance is being reported to your credit bureau. that ties into your utilization rate, right? If I know my credit agency is going to report this balance on this date, I'm going to want to pay it down prior to that, so my utilization doesn't actually go above 30%. So if I know on the 15th of the month they're going to report the balance, I'm going to pay it by the statement date, so I know when it gets reported, it's not going to actually negatively impact my credit. And my last tip is pay off your debt with the highest interest, but based off the balance. So to give you an example with this, right? Let me make sure I give the example right. So you can have two cards, one with say a 20% APR, right? And say the other one just has 5%. Say if the one that has 5% has the higher balance, you want to look at what is the interest for that month, right? So it may have a lower APR, but because the balance is higher, the interest might be higher. So you want to look at the one with the highest interest, usually interest rate, but you also want to look at the numbers too. So I'm going to try to eliminate the one that's going to actually charge me the most interest at the end of the month. Any questions? Okay. I think that is actually the end of that on credit. These are just some useful tips to like build and maintain your credit. There's also, I didn't really want to go into, because this is like a whole longer topic on repairing your credit. Because there's 1,000 ways to go about that. There's a lot of information out there too, but using a lot of these tips, which I've just honestly found online, doing research, like this information is out there. You don't have to pay someone to maintain your credit or build your credit or repair your credit. Like take these tips, use these tools to repair and maintain your credit on your own. I think the biggest part is just check for errors. Make sure everything on there belongs there. If not, dispute it. Credit Karma is great for disputing things. Or take it the simple way. Google dispute letter. And then you fill it out. It's a simple form. You fill out what the charges you want to dispute, and you send it off to Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. You can dispute these things yourself. These dudes that's out here charging X amount of dollars each month, that's literally what they're doing. They're just doing the manual labor for people being lazy. Fix your credit yourself. Stop leaving your finances in the hand of other people for simple things that we can maintain ourselves. Thanks, Kev. Great info. You're welcome, Jasma. What number is considered crappy? Anything you want to be above 600. I would honestly even say 650. 650 is decent. It's honestly like a fair credit score, but obviously you want to be in the 700 range. Like I brought a car last year. Actually 6 months ago. That's crazy. Today makes 6 months ago. And one thing I really, really waited to do before I bought the car, I got my credit right. Like I understood credit. I understood where I was at. And honestly, in July, my credit score was in the 600s. And I took money from my 401k because, this is when, the market was going shitty because of the whole coronavirus. And I had to really play the numbers game, right? I wanted to purchase a car. Looking at the average based on what my credit rate was, right? It was in the sixes. I was going to pay over 10% for an interest rate on a car. I looked at my stock, my 401k. I was earning 5% on it. Like my return on investment was at 5%. And I think when the market started to tank, I already lost $2,000 in it. I ain't for taking L's. I get it. Market bounced back. Cool. I wasn't willing to ride it. Was that the best decision? maybe, maybe not. But I took it in a numbers game. So did I want to keep losing money in the market, or did I actually want to repair my credit because I know I wanted to make this larger purchase? So like I was looking, like I said, I was looking for APR rates. I think when I actually went and purchased my car, my APR rate was 4.75, which I still feel is high. Um, but it's not a bad APR rate, versus they was willing to charge me over 10 to 20%. I'm like, I am not willing to pay that excess amount in interest each month because of my reckless behavior from the prior months. So, you know, I had to do what I had to do to fix it. But I look at the actual interest I'm paying each month is way lower than what I would have been paying. I would have been paying between, I think honestly my car note is say 300, but at the rate they would have gave me, I would have been paying like 350, like 50 extra dollars just to interest. Like that's not even attacking the principal of my car. Nah. So this is why we actually have to look at, you know, when we go to make these purchases, where our credit stands, and make sure everything's in order. So we're paying the least amount of money on borrowed money. If y'all have any other questions, you know, everyone here has my number. Feel free to reach out to me. We can definitely talk. Yeah, so if you need any more help, any other tips, just let me know, make some time, and I'll definitely throw some more gems out there that I do find. Um, yeah, that sums that up. If y'all don't have any other,
Thank you.
you're welcome. If you don't have any other questions or you just want to text it to me, go ahead. But go ahead and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm gonna go take me a nice little cat nap, and you know, get ready for my next workshop later on today. But enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.
Take care. Bye.
All right, see you later.
Thank you. Thank you.